Dear Theosophists and friends, we are starting our research workshop, The Secret Doctrine, with the participation of Russian and foreign scientists and theosophists.
We are glad to welcome all the participants who joined the workshop, and I would like to say that members beyond their research groups do not see each other, but they hear the speakers and see all the presentations. Members of the research group who are included in one team with technical support see each other and we work all together. Dear friends, please leave all your questions and commentaries on research of Sloka of the current seminar. Do write them please in questions and answers rubric. After we finish our seminar, we will have the Theosophical quiz video forum that has become quite famous right now. It's been viewed by more than 2,000 people, and they felt very positive about that.
Our workshop is designed for those who are already familiar with the Secret Doctrine and have studied it, as well as for anyone interested in Theosophy. Duration of the workshop is 2 hours. Please do not leave the broadcast. We will respect each other's work. Today we have interpreters working with us: Alexandra Bobko, Maria Ponomarova, Mariana Lazakovich. We express our deep gratitude to them for their work. We express our recognition, respect and gratitude to all members of the research team and speakers. More than 160 listeners have already joined us, including members of the Theosophical Society of Russia, Theosophists, scientists, and the Theosophical community members from different cities of the Russian Federation: Omsk, Krasnoyarsk, Saratov, Ufa, Samara, St. Petersburg, Moscow, Kaliningrad, Biysk, Kemerovo, Nizhny Novgorod, Voronezh, Yekaterinburg, Yalta, Rostov-on-Don, Belgorod, Yamal, Karelia. We also greet our colleagues from Belarus, Uzbekistan, Armenia, Slovenia, Austria, England, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, USA, India, Philippines, Greece, Germany, Israel, Angola, Singapore, Malaysia, and other countries. Today, Sloka 1, Stanza 2 of the Secret Doctrine is presented by Mr. Hwang, PhD, Professor of the School of Arts, South Korea; Miss Erica Georgiades, Director of the European School of Theosophy, Greece; Mr. Kishore Ongole, Theosophical Society of India; Miss Michelina Foster, Theosophical Society of the USA, California; Mr. Lyndon Smith, Theosophical Society of England, UK. We wish all the participants fruitful work. So the online research seminar, The Secret Doctrine of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, dedicated to the study of Sloka 2, Stanza 1, is open. We are giving the floor to Mr. Vladimir Yary, President of the Russian Theosophical Society Lodge, for the opening speech. Dear friends, dear brothers, gem of the day for meditation for the 30th of January, presented by Helena Blavatsky in her book The Pearl of East, where she draws our attention to the information and energetic sense of this day, is the following: might added to might becomes a great heap. The heap in the barn consists of small grains.
Brings us to understanding consistency and establishing rhythm for accumulating knowledge while developing capacity, opportunity, and ability. The second part, as the consequence of this action, creating the heap of accumulating parts from small grains. through synthesis of understanding according to the first and the second parts of the united thought, the meditating human comes to a conscious action. Calendar of Kalachakra helps us to create one by one a rhythm of opportunities proposed by the time of the present. The year 2021, which we now live in, is the year of the white ox. The white ox on the wheel of time is in the end of the timeline, where the six-pointed star points in this direction of space, keeping together two zodiac signs. These are Virgo and Libra. And where we have Libra, there is white ox. The ox symbolizes ignorance, as a klesha, and as the Nidana principle of the ox, it symbolizes realization of potential. The white color is the symbol of the metal force, the metal element, or ether, which in its complete condition means an energetic hologram, a code. And this code is revealed at the information plane. That is the element. But as the realization itself of this ox, its potency is to make it evident for human his or her ignorance, for his or her, because being an illusion of our understanding of this genesis where our conscious is, potential of wrong actions bring us suffering, and as this suffering will be brought to this human, he or she will pose attention to them, and therefore there will be another force in this human. This force will be awakened by this ignorance, so that the man starts fighting against the ignorance klesha. It wins over it by gnosis or knowledge. The next one is the month of the yellow mouse. The Nidana mouse symbolizes karma, movement, and accumulation. The yellow color symbolizes the earth element, buddhi, wisdom. These properties, movement and accumulation, make up karma. Movement comprises the driving factor of the man's culture and morality, his thoughts, desires, etc., and as a consequence, karmic merits are accumulated. What the motives are determines the accumulation that constitute the karma of an individual. The klesha of the mouse, grief, can be overcome by joy. The week we have now is the week of the yellow horse. The Nidana horse symbolizes the law of justice, or justice, dharma. Earth element is buddhi, or wisdom. It is symbolized by the yellow color. Klesha of the horse is envy. It can be defeated by good. Created in conditions that cause envy. And in order for justice to win, one must have good motives. The day we have today is the day of the blue tiger. The tiger is the symbol of birth according to strain, concentration, attention. With their help, we shouldn't miss the opportunity of new thinking with a new quality of thought. The clash of the tiger is recklessness. It can be defeated by attentiveness and concentration. The element of the air, flight, lightness of thought movement, is catching harmony in order to preserve energies. On this day, according to the air element and the tiger nidana, we must be in exertion to preserve and concentrate our mind on the germ, creating conditions for the germination of beauty. Any discontent must be suppressed through attention and concentration, in readiness to cut off the negative element by the responsibility of willful action. Thus, concentration in one point, human, the center of the creating unit of cosmos, make it possible to assimilate through transmutation the radiation of the cosmic magnet by its conformity of a time conqueror through the following actions. The year of the ox, ignorance, can be overcome by knowledge. The month of the mouse, grief, klesha, is overcome by joy. The week of the horse, envy, klesha, is conquered by good, and the day of the tiger, the recklessness, klesha, is defeated by mindfulness and concentration. Thank you very much. Thank you. That is the introductory point, and now we know where we live and what to wait for. Dear friends, now we open and start the main point of the workshop we've been waiting for. That is the research of Sloka 2, Stanza 1 of the Secret Doctrine. And I invite Mr. Unhan Kwan, the PhD, a doctor of philosophy, professor of School of Arts from South Korea. Please, Mr. Hunkakwa.
Hello, I'm glad to speak in this seminar of Secret Doctrine on the topic of the time. Let me see this again. Actually, the time of birth of time. Actually, the topic is, the statement. There was no time. It rested in the infinite cosmos of duration. This statement was written in the Secret Doctrine. Actually, this statement for the birth of time in the universe, based on the stanza of Dijan. As you know, the Dijan is related to the Buddhism philosophy of the time. So I'm going to speak today to parts. First part is the scientific time, which is scientific causality, and second one is metaphysical time, metaphysical causality. Actually, there may be a third case of time. This is a spiritual time. Spiritual time, I'm not going to speak about that because it's God's word. As you know, in the Bible, there are many statements about time. Whole history is about 6,000 years, but the universe history has 11 billion years. So the spiritual time maybe the God's word, surely is God's word. So everybody decide whether she or he believe it or not. As an example, for the spiritual time, you know, in the Bible, the Moses started his activity at the age of 80, and he had done 40 years as a leader of the tribe of the Jews, and he died 120 years old. The numbers 80, the number of 40, the number of 120 is a spiritual time. So it is not scientific. So I'm not going to mention about the spiritual time. You decide, believe it or not. So I'm going to start the scientific time with the causality. If you see the website about the causality, there are many explanations today. So you can learn or study by yourself. Just introduce today. I draw the graph. You know, as you see the causality graph, the time goes on. There are two tracks with green light, green rods, A, B, and meet C, and divide E, D, and combine F. So A, B are causally independent if they have two clocks, and C, D, E, F are causally dependent on A, B, you know, and etc. You can understand, no problem, I think. If you have one clock with I mean, A, B has one clock, we call this synchronizations. You understand about the dancers in the water, they have synchronized, you know, because they have one clock. The time flows the same rate. And the other case for the synchronization on the traffic lights in the left, the traffic lights change when you arrived at that exactly at that position, and from the red to green, so you go through without any stopping. That kind of the causal synchronizations. So causally, time passes from past to present to future. This we call causality. This is a scientific fact. There was at the beginning of time, there was one point very huge of matter at the center of a universe, and just we call this point mass because the spatial size is very small relative to the whole universe. So the Big Bang started. It goes, every part goes to all around the universe in the shape of the flat, not sphere, in the flat, with a bulge at the center of the universe. So just before Big Bang, there was no time, but the space, yes, because the modern theory of physics, there's a gravitational field. Without matter, in the space there is a field. It gives some force. So within the field, the field needs the space. So modern science believes that there was space, but no time before Big Bang. So how about the Earth, Sun? The Sun will be at the corner of the universe, not center of the universe. That's the big difference from the religions. Religions mentioned at the center of Earth. I mean, at the center of the universe, the Earth and the Sun started and exist. It is wholly different. So time started. I mentioned remember the first statement of the Blavatsky. This is the just before starting Big Bang. The statement was not clear because Buddhism is doesn't. They think it's not important. The starting of the station, the starting of the time is not important. Only they thought that the important thing is the causality. I'll say about that in the next section. No, this is the causality violations explanation. If there is two times A, B system, A time system, B system, in what the one's event may be passed in the system B, but for the same event, the A time system may be present. So it's wrong. For the one event, there will be two times. So this is not scientific. So in the scientific causality, only one time system for the causality. Yeah. What about at this moment? After 1 billion, the 11.8 billion, because the age of universe today is 13.8 billion years old. So this is a very recent scientific work. So at this moment, the Big Bang keep going and going on. The Earth is at the corner of the universe, but we know the center of the universe scientifically. Within the Big Bang, the matter spreaded. The matter, yes. Space, yes. Time, yes. Because time is defined as, scientifically defined as the distance divided by time is speed. So if there is matter, the matter moves, the matter has speed, then time exists. So within the matter spreading, time, yes. How about the other part? The white space. I said the gravitational field may be applied. We think about the field, and space exists. We believe it. But time, no. Because no matter, no speed, so no time. So scientifically, that time created every moment, time expanding, time created every moment. So the longest time in the universe is 13.8 billion years. It will increase. So the Blavatsky statement again, there is no time. It rests in the infinite BOSOM of the duration. I understand, because no time, no matter, no time. I think the statement is correct. I agree with that. Because actually this statement is for the birth of the time in Buddhism. It's not clear, I said, but it's very great statement, I think. One additionally, this is a scientific proof about 100 years ago by the Einstein. You know, the theory of general relativity. The final equation, as you see, the R mu whatever. This is the we call Einstein's equation. It has a long story, very long story. One book, actually. This shows the three results about the fate our universe, depending on the G mu nu and T mu nu. G mu nu is the curvature of the universe, and T mu nu is the energy momentum tensor. I actually derived this equation as a master degree of physics. I derived the whole things. I am very familiar about this equation. The result said that the fate of the universe will be one of three. First one, it keeps expanding forever. That means the universe will be unbounded. And second case, the universe will expand and stop sometime in the future. It means the universe will be bounded. And the third case, the universe will keep expanding and stop and shrink in the future, like spring oscillations. That means the universe will be bounded. So we don't know the fate of our universe. It depends on the G mu nu, T mu nu. When Big Bang happened, we didn't experience about 13.8 billion years ago. We don't know. Long time ago, what happened, we don't know. It has a long, passes a long time. We don't know. We have to watch. That's all we can do. Yeah, that was so far. That was a scientific research about the scientific definition of time, scientific causality. This part about metaphysical causality is different. I said it's different from the spiritual causality. Spiritual causality is not my work. I mean, you decide about that. Metaphysical causality in Buddhism is very compatible to the scientific causality. It's curious. For example, time scale in Buddhism, we call the unit of time kalpa. One kalpa is equal to the 4.3 billion years. One kalpa. So our universe age may be equal to 4 kalpas. So this kalpa is not continuous. I mean, go fast, sometimes go slow, sometimes stop. You know, the Blavatsky statement, the time will stop. That's correct. It doesn't matter. And not linear. It depends on the local, everybody has their own kalpas, their own time tracks. it's not also it's not symmetric either. I mean, it goes everywhere. I mean, around and go straight. Sometimes go back. So how about but the kalpa? I said the kalpa is a local. So there are many time traps for the each personals. Many layers. I mean the time causality to the person individually. Sometimes they meet. Two people meet. Buddhism statement said that for a meeting of two persons need 500 kalpas for the destiny. If you are married, your husband and wife has 500 kalpas for destiny. So they meet. This is Buddhism theology. So also kalpa time needs not, I mean, don't need a matter. I mean, without matter, it goes, kalpa time passes. As you said, remember, the scientific time needs the matter. Without matter, no scientific time defined. This is very important, the theory of the kalpa time for the causality principle. First one, at the beginning of this seminar, Mr. said about karmas. That's by the causality principle, accumulation of the karmas as time passes for each people. So each people has a own karma, I mean pile up or accumulation of the karma as time passes. Second one is, and then causal reverse, reincarnations. I mean the suddenly sometime or after he dies, then he reverse. That time, the person changes to animal, to insect, something like that. Depends on the karma. So good karma gives a reward, good rebirth, but evil karma gives the bad way to the causality principle. I mean the different, the trace of the time. So I think this is also in the actually this is the ethicization. I mean ethics. This one also in Christian also. The very similar one. Every religions. I don't mention about that because the religion is not for the seminar. So we just remark about Buddhism causality is on the karma rewards. This is the very important. The birth of time is not clear, but the karma causality is very important in Buddhism. I mean, the secret doctrine deals about these things mostly. I believe. Thank you very much. This is what I prepared. I think about 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hwang. That is a really interesting research. I have several thoughts concerning your presentation. I would like to speak on them briefly. In your report, you mentioned that there will be three cases the universe will stop to exist. The first case in when it is infinitely expanded. The second one is when it's stopping its expansion. And the third one is when it's shrinking after expansion. In all these three cases, there is no rest. Please note that no state of cycle change and no cyclicity itself. That is, if something does not get any rest, or if rest is excluded in some sense, this eventually leads to destruction. So the state of pralaya is just as important as manvantara. This change of states is a cycle that implies eternity or perpetual motion. Under different conditions described in these three cases, with no cycle of rest, there is annihilation happening. At the slide 2, according to a diagram, you say that if point C does not change along with A and B, then A will no longer cause changes in D, E, and F. But please note that there is a linear character of the chart, and still changes are hardly possible in this diagram. But if we put these points into a spiral, each turn of this spiral, not a circle, each circle passed by point A and therefore by point C may be changed in next circle and so on to infinity, because nothing in the universe repeats and we cannot go twice in the same river as it moves. And here is the only case of limitless in evolution movement. Slide 4 is where you were talking about in an empty place that you were talking about. But according to the secret doctrine, there is no emptiness. There is a total emptiness. Total is unmanifested cause, and what is manifested is already a consequence. These are two states of one system, which is time or karma in causal relationship. So, total emptiness is unrevealed, and what is revealed is consequence. Slide 5. What I would like to note, relativity of this event, as you say, two bits, two systems, is essentially the past and the future. That is the way I saw it. The past can become a future, and the future once becomes the past. And only the present can connect these two bits or two systems, past and future, and become eternity. The present is not relative, it is reality, a moment of insight. All the rest are relative events that can be changed by the time, exactly the other way around, or the time itself can be changed, but the cause itself is unchangeable. Otherwise, it would become a consequence. Mr. Hwang, that is the impulse you gave for new thoughts according to Sloka 2. Thank you very much. We'll
Thank you.
continue. And at the end of the workshop, we will listen to all the commentaries. And now we are happy to invite the distinguished Erika Georgiades, Director of the European School of Theosophy, Greece.
So thank you very much for inviting me to be here today once more in this wonderful work you are doing on studying the Secret Doctrine. Today I'll be talking about, as you know, we are studying the second sloka of the first stanza of this yarn. The first stanza is composed of 9 slokas. You have already studied sloka 1. Today we will focus on the second. Before discussing it, however, some words are necessary. The first stanza, called The Night of the Universe, uses an apophatic approach to describe that which cannot be known, the unknowable. So to say, the condition of the planetary system after entering its period of rest, also called as Mahapralaya. A Mahapralaya is a Sanskrit term. Maha means big, and Pralaya, rest. So Mahapralaya means the great rest. And the first stanza focuses on the great rest of the universe and tries to describe it. Life in the material world has ceased to be. Everything has returned to the bosom of the Great Mother, in the unknown darkness of the Great Father. Mother, Father, and Son, the great esoteric triad, were once more one, and the roots of existence have been done away with. There was no mind to describe that which cannot be described, because there was no sense perception to perceive and to know what was the condition of the universe in that stage of rest, because nothing was or not was. In having to describe that which is not possible to be known, an apophatic approach was used. For example, time was not, mind was not. So it was, this is a theological approach of negation. No? So you say time was not, mind was not. So what can be known when there was nothing to know something? Now, the second sloka says, time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Blavatsky, in her commentaries to this sloka, says that time is an illusion produced by the succession of our states of consciousness as we travel through eternal duration. In this manner, time is bound to consciousness, and as such is an illusion. During the period of rest of our planetary system, time was not, because there was no consciousness to perceive it. The notion of time as an illusion may not be new to you. As you know, Albert Einstein supported the idea that both space and time are illusions. He said, open quote, time and space are modes by which we think and not conditions in which we live. The distinction between the past, present, and future is only an illusion, close quote. In relation to the distinction between past, present, and future, Blavatsky says the following, open quote, the present is only a mathematical line which divides that part of eternal duration, which we call the future, from that part which we call the past, close quote. This commentary is very interesting because she uses the term eternal duration. If Blavatsky says that time was not, what did she mean by eternal duration? More specifically, by duration. Let us recapitulate the second sloka again. It says, time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. What is the difference between time and duration? On the one hand, the notion of duration, according to Blavatsky, is without beginning and end. So we have the notion of duration, which is endless. And then the notion of time, on the other hand, has beginning and an end. Blavatsky discusses the meaning of duration and time, as well as the difference between both in the transactions of the Blavatsky Lodge. In this manner, we are informed that duration and time in the secret doctrine have two different meanings. Duration is linked to the notion of eternity, and time linked to the notion of illusion, because it has beginning and an end. We could ask, if duration is linked to eternity, what Blavatsky meant by eternity? According to Blavatsky, in the East, the notion of eternity is very different from what we Westerners interpret it, as it stands generally for the 100 years age of Brahma, the duration of one kalpa. You can see this information in the voice of the silence. Kalpa is a term that refers to the duration of existence of our solar system, which Blavatsky calls planetary chain. That's it, which is composed by 7 rounds. Round is a term to refer to the cosmological evolution in a planetary chain, and we have no time to discuss it here today. So time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. The Sloka points out that when our solar system enters a condition of rest, pralaya, there is no time because there is no consciousness to perceive it. In a poetical way, the Sloka leads us to ask, where is time? Time was asleep in the bosom of duration. By duration is meant eternity, not eternity as we know it, eternity in relation to the duration of one kalpa. After one kalpa, the universe enters a state of pralaya, rest. In that condition, there is no mind to perceive or conceive anything, hence no time. And this is what the second Sloka of the first stanza of this yarn tries to describe. Thank you very much.
Georgiades, thank you very much. Now, we invite the next speaker, Mr. Kishore Ongole, Theosophical Society of India.
Namaste to all. Am I audible? Yeah. The stanza 1, Sloka 2. Today we are discussing about the following sloka. Time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Namaste to all. The Sanskrit Pandits of India have researched a lot to see the truth and the secret science explained in secret doctrine and found many similarities in various Vedic texts. One such Vedic suktam mentioned in Rigveda is given here. The following image is from Secret Doctrine Part 1, page number 26. This is the translation of Nasadiya Sukta of Rigveda, Mandala number 10, 129 to 1. There are 2 poems given in the image, and you can see the reference at the bottom. Nor art nor not existed, yon bright sky was not, nor heavens broad, and woof outstretched above. What covered all, what sheltered? What concealed? Was it the water's fathomless abyss? There was no death. Hence was there not immortal. There was no confine betwixt day and night. The only one breathless in itself. Other than it, there nothing since has been. Darkness there was, and all at first wild in gloom profound, an ocean without light. The germ that still lay covered in the husk burst forth one nature from the fervent heat. Who knows the secret? Who proclaimed it here? Whence this manifold creation sprang? The gods themselves came later into being. Who knows from whence this great creation sprang? He from whom all this great creation came, whether his will created or was mute, the most high seer that is in highest heaven, he knows it, or perchance he knows not. Time is only an illusion produced by the succession of our states of consciousness as we travel through eternal duration, and it does not exist in which the illusion can be produced but lies asleep. Here in Secret Doctrine, an example is given clearly. No one could say that a bar of metal dropped into the sea came into existence as it left the air and ceased to exist as it entered the water, and that the bar itself consisted only of that cross section thereof, which at any given moment coincided with the mathematical plane that separates and at the same time joins the atmosphere and the ocean. This example perfectly fits about the time and its existence. Therefore, let us just understand time. Can we see, taste, touch, know, or perceive time? No, we cannot. Let us say this moment. Where is that moment which we said this moment? It is already past. Now, the second you completed saying the word, this moment, we can infer from this and understand that there is no present moment. Every second which we see is only an experience and it has already passed. When we sleep, let us say deep sleep, can we experience time? Can we experience past, present, or future? No, we cannot. Time does not exist when we are in deep sleep. We forget where we are. We forget the identity. We forget the surroundings and we are fully in sleep. Can we just ask ourselves, where am I when we are fully asleep? No, we cannot. Nothing exists. Likewise, we can compare this state of non-existence, which we are experiencing during deep sleep, is called infinite bosom of duration. Can we say that? Okay. A sloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 11, verse number 12. Sri Krishna says, Kalospi lokakshay krut pravruddho lokan samahittu miha pravruttaha rutopi tvam nabhivashyanti da sarve yas nastita pratyarikeshu yodha. The Supreme Lord said, I am mighty time, the source of destruction that comes forth to annihilate the worlds. Even without participation, the warriors arrayed in the opposing army shall cease to exist. This is chapter number 11, 32 sloka, 32nd sloka of Bhagavad Gita. Though Krishna announced that he is the great destroyer of the worlds, yet Vedic texts tell us that times deals with not just destruction, but creation and sustenance as well. Time is Kala per Vedic text, the entity which is aware of everything before, after, and during the creation is Mahakala, or the third outpouring. Second outpouring is said to be Vishnu, and Brahma is said to be the third outpouring. A small image is given here to understand the three outpourings. The stanzas 1, sloka 2 explains us the state of the universe before creation. As we all know, it cannot be explained or understood. Vedic texts call it as Avang Manasa Gochara, the one state which cannot be expressed in words. God is intangible, avyakta, adrishta, agochara, that is unmanifest, unseen, imperceptible. We cannot put it in words, so we have to understand that state as opposite to existence, manifestation, and perception. According to the theoretical physicist Carlo Rovelli, time is an illusion. Our naive perception of its flow doesn't correspond to physical reality. Today, science too agrees that time is not real, and a link is given here. Here I am giving some important points from the above link. Massachusetts Institute of Technology physicist Max Tegmark told space.com, quote, "We can portray our reality as either a three-dimensional place where stuff happens over time, or as a four-dimensional place where nothing happens. And if it really is the second picture, then change really is an illusion, because there is nothing that is changing. It is all just there, past, present, and future. We have the illusion at any given moment that the past already happened and the future doesn't yet exist, and that these things are changing. Can we say the infinite bosom of duration has 7 eternities? Just a thought, because the pause between the two manvantaras cannot be counted because there is no time. And the person who experienced the past cannot exist. And the entity or God, whatever we call that exists between, is not a manifested one. To understand the second sloka, let us discuss first and third sloka of the stanza. First sloka of stanza: the eternal parent space, wrapped in her ever invisible robes, had slumbered once again for 7 eternities. The eternal parent is space. The eternal parent is wrapped in her ever invisible robes, can be understood in Vedic language as 5 tanmatras. There are 5 sense perceptions: hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell. And there are 5 tanmatras corresponding to 5 sense perceptions and 5 sensory organs. In the commentary, it was given as the 7 eternities meant are these 7 periods, are a period answering in its duration to the 7 periods of a manvantara and extending throughout a mahakalpa, or the great age. 100 years of Brahma, making a total of 311 trillion and 40 billion years. Each year of Brahma being composed of 360 days and of the same number of nights of Brahma. And a day of Brahma consists of 4,320,000 mortal years. Time was not because time lay asleep. Here, to understand, we have to know the relation between time and numbers. 60 seconds equal to 1 minute. 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. If we delink the time and numbers, you can say there is no time. Time itself is a potency of time, is itself a potency of numbers. The potency of numbers is expressed as time. So that link has not manifested or understood by us. If one can understand the link, they can beat the time. The power of numbers and its potency. So that potency or Shakti or power is time. Let us discuss about the magic of these numbers. Number of 4 yugas. Kali Yuga, 432,000 years. Dwapar Yuga, 864,000 years. Treta Yuga, 1,296,000 years. Satya Yuga, 1,728,000 years. Total, 4,320,000 years. 12 hours is 12 into 60 into 60 equal to 40,200 seconds. So 12 hours is equal to 4 yugas. Same number, same potencies. Sahasra yuga paryantam ahar yad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam te hora tranido jana. This is chapter number Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 8, 17th sloka. One day of Brahma lasts 1,000 cycles of 4 ages, and his night also exists for the same span of time. The wise one who knows this understands the reality about day and night. The day of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 years. The day of human from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is 43,200 seconds. Amazing, isn't it? So Krishna says, the one who understands this magic will understand reality. All slokas of all stanzas of secret doctrine are to be researched thoroughly and have deep inner meaning which connects to our daily life. Unless one research well and connect every sloka of all stanzas to one's daily life, one's goal of being a right member of Theosophical society is not achieved. Thank you so much.
Dear Kishore Ongole, thank you very much for that amazing discoveries that you managed to do. There is a really deep perception of this sloka, so that abstraction expressed by numbers starts to be revealed, becomes concrete, and that is amazing. Thank you very much. I would like to express the following thought. You were talking about posa between manvantaras. It cannot be counted, you said, because there is no time. But every pralaya, according to comments of Madam Blavatsky, every pralaya is equal to manvantara in its duration, so that we can know how long pralaya lasts, exactly as long as manvantara lasts. And your discovery in numbers is amazing. 12 hours means 43,200 seconds is the main number, as 4,320,000,000 years. Yes. And that means there is a great cycle of energy. One cycle we all are in. And following your idea, I had the thought, if we put your thought in a geometrical manner, it is interesting. 6 hours in the morning and 6 hours in the evening have the same geometry.
Yes.
It is just a diameter of the circle.
Yes.
With one clock's hand at 12 and another at 6.
Yes, can we see that clock as the axis of the Earth planet? Yeah.
Yes. And now 12 is 3 in sum, and here we see 6. It is 2 times more than 3.
Yeah.
So there was 3 geometrically, and it became 6. And it's in the way we see it.
Yes.
3 and 6. But what is this diameter? It is Fohat. Here we see energy kept, or the ability to accumulate this energy, and movement, or the possibility to give this energy. There is a bridge between higher and lower manas. For a human, it is the spinal cord where Kundalini force is connecting Ida and Pingala, moving upwards along Sushumna. For me, it was an amazing discovery following yours and these geometric thoughts I had following your research, Mr. Kishore Ongole. Thank you very much. We were deeply impressed. And we invite dear Madam Michelina Foster, Theosophical Society of the United States, California. We welcome you, please.
Time is but a place, my friend. decimal in space of a race called men. Time can be defined as a series of events. But how can this be possible in space called nothingness? These are the words to an old song. We gather today to commune together regarding the first stanza of the writing in the book of Design. Time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. In a translation of Vishnu Purana, it is stated that Brahma in its totality has essentially the aspect of Prakriti, both evolved and unevolved. Mala Prakriti, and also the aspect of spirit and the aspect of time. Spirit, O twice born, is the leading aspect of the supreme Brahma. The next is a twofold aspect. Prakriti, both evolved and unevolved, and is the last, is time. Kronos is the Greek god name for time. It's shown in the Orphic theogony as being both a generated god or agent. Kronos is in the secret doctrine referred to as Saturn. Time seems from the above to be a generated property, an essence, or an agent. We often say that time is an illusion, just as all things are illusions. However, with our five senses perceived on the physical plane, we are encased in this matter of this plane, and things seem very real to us. Realities are graded in consciousness, just as illusions are. The average human is aware of that which they call time. This concept is said to be a mathematical line between the regions of the future of ideals and the past of memories. It seems that our lives flow from the past to the future, but do they really? Time allows us this illusion. All that we are in the present moment is but a nanosecond flash, minutely perceptible in a shimmer of the fullness of the ego. We call this the present moment, and it is all that our sensory perceptions can handle. All the events of our past are meticulously recorded on Akasha in time. And as time is an illusion, so are all the illusions of our ideals and the future. Time cannot exist where there is no consciousness to produce this illusion. And the inner essence of the agent of time is completely beyond the perception of the human brain. We see but through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Time is always face to face with us, accompanying us each of our journeys. We follow in steps, but time flows in streams and rivers and cosmic oceans. We fulfill our lives, hopefully, with the best we can understand in these encounters with the ancient wisdom. We see but through this glass, and time allows us this joy. Time grants us the privilege of conscious manifestation within its parameters. Time gifts us with reference points for events, experiments, experiences, and learning. Time is undismayed by her sister karma. The two work together to make certain that the lessons are well learned. The agent of time is always and has been extremely important to our ancestors and to the ancients. The chronology of the stars and the vast ages of races, rings, rounds, and cycles. The secret of numbers and their coordination with time is acutely relevant in the study of the ancient teachings. Metaphysics, astrophysics, astrology, chemistry, geometry, and other of the esoteric instructions down through the centuries and throughout the millenniums. Yet, with all of this, some of the average person's greater fears are the fear of being late for an appointment, a television show, or picking up the kids at daycare. Perhaps humanity's greatest fear of time is equated with death. It is said that this also is the illusion and was a dark thought planted in ancient days. The ancient wisdom sees only change. The only infinite purpose and permanence is change. An oxymoron at best, but true. In time, ideas slowly seem to become permanent until a level of perfection is reached in this design. Then it changes. The ideas of fireworks is appropriate, for there is preparation, a gathering of materials, trajectory analysis, weather conditions, again, the surroundings, and with the addition of a match, liftoff. The beautiful design is enjoyed by the observers, oohs and ahs, and we begin again on a higher turn of the spiral. That spiral is the journey of the agent of time. Circles, squares, S-shaped lines conquer space, conquer time. Transcendental is the key, plus the action, empathy. Some very sensitive individuals can sense time. We have all heard that the timing must be right. As this is a rare case here on Earth, the great ones probably have a better relationship with time than we do. Time always follows its own trajectory. Once it manifests from Prakriti, one could say that time has been given its traveling orders. The scenario for the journey of time through the cosmic, from Manvantara to Manvantara, is known only to the unknowable one. In the increments of time, the sun rises, the moon has her phases, the oceans ebb and flow, civilizations and cultures rise and fall. Planets, solar systems, galaxies, and universes form, age, and dissolve back into cosmic dust. You and I, from atom to mineral to flower to animal to man to whatever is our next step on the long journey back to the unknowable one. Time then, like us, lays asleep in the infinite bosom of duration, which is and yet never was. There is a song also with the lyrics that say, time, she waits for no one. Time, she goes on her way, has no fears, fears no sorrow. Turn around, it's yesterday. But when there is love, the universes sing, the stars in their orbits, and the bird on the wing. Time, she has no lovers. Time heals the wounds of pain. And when all time is over, love, only love remains. In this onward journey of time, I wish you all the time you need to complete your journey, to find your dreams, your heart's desire. Namaste, and thank you.
Дорогая Мишелина,
Dear Michelina, thank you very much. There is a really deep creativity, and you confirmed the thought that the real reason is love. It is really beautiful. Thank you. Now we have a great pleasure to listen to Mr. Lyndon Smith, Theosophical Society of England, United Kingdom.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So if we can, lovely to be here everybody. If we can put the slides up please. So that's Stranicja 1. Pожалуйста. Excellent. I did a little bit of bio because I wasn't sure how this being my first time here. So I'd just like to say hello to everybody. I'm here speaking about H.P. Blavatsky's 1880 work from The Secret Doctrine, from the stanzas of Dzyan, Stanza 1, Sloka 2. A little bit about me. I came to Theosophy early on in life and I was introduced to a number of theological ideas, from baptism, Jehovah's Witness, Christianity, but predominantly that of Theosophy. And at an early age of 8 or 9, I was able to grasp some basic principles and concepts which underpin Theosophy and the writings. And I was told, I quote, Lyndon was ahead of his years and he could understand things which were far beyond a typical boy of his age, which is lovely to hear. I'm here to devote more time and study to Theosophy, theology, the Kabbalah, and I'm delighted to be here and talk, as I feel very strongly that this connection that we build with us will help unite and fortify our work together in this most important area of understanding. As said, I'm delighted to be here. I'm a chartered building surveyor by profession, and I live and work in the southwest of England where I run my own business. Stranicja 2. Time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. When talking about things beyond our direct understanding, Theosophy often puts to us, the students, truth such as that in the stanzas and the Secret Doctrine, phrased in allegory. In fact, one of the esoteric methods used by Theosophy is that of metaphor, axiom, prose, or analogy. The student is frequently presented with profound truths put in a simple and concise way, using plain words, but which at first appear to be contradictory, abstruse, or beyond our intellectual reach. Another such profound truth put forward as a phrase is, the universe is the macrocosm, the great ordered whole, and man is its miniature reflection, the microcosm. The student of Theosophy must consider that when we try to approach and understand much of what is presented to us by way of writings, music, poetry, art, or painting, we are frequently considering subjects beyond our phenomenal and day-to-day life, beyond our logic, and we often think that such things are contradictory or beyond our reach, in the intellectual sense, as indeed they are, because these areas often relate to an area of heart learning, completely different to that of mind learning. Conversely, when considering matters relating to mind learning and cold rational logic, a completely different part of the brain is used, where fact, reason are predominant, and the brain works in a different way. I will look at this point again in the next page by way of exploring this important observation, that being the difference between heart learning and head learning. Stranicia 3. Time is only illusion produced by a succession of our states, consequences, and we travel through an eternal duration, and it does not exist where no consciousness exists in which the illusion can be produced, and nothing on earth has real duration, for nothing remains without change. The Secret Doctrine from the commentaries. These two quotes from the commentaries assist by elaborating on stanza 1, Sloka 2, upon first reading, they may appear mutually exclusive and a riddle, or as being contradictory, abstruse, and beyond what we can understand. We all feel this way at times. One student wrote in an internet post for a short video on Theosophy that the complete teaching that he'd just seen was as if a word salad had been put to him, a wonderful metaphor. And of course, we can all identify with this at times. But the student, that does not deter the student, but it makes the individual stronger with a stronger resolve and makes us feel more fortified to understand what is being said is fact and is far deeper than what we can see through our sensory perception. This is sometimes felt as if a ringing sound is felt in the heart, deep down. When we consider Blavatsky's intentions with the Secret Doctrine, and of course the stanzas therein, we can understand, by a small degree, the immensity of what she is saying. Blavatsky frequently uses allegory and metaphor, sometimes with compound and long sentences describing ideas and constructs far beyond our noumenal understanding. But her writings were never meant to be read in cold print, by the letter, so to speak, or to be determined from the student by rationale. They were meant for the determined student who will return to these writings time after time, often reading the same part of the chapter or verse or stanza, but discovering new things as we move on. The following is an extract from the preface of The Secret Doctrine, which illustrates this point, where Blavatsky puts to the student, within the limits of written word, allegory and metaphor, the beautiful works in the stanzas are all done to engage the student as much as possible. The last paragraph of The Secret Doctrine says, and this is in the preface, the aim of this work of the SD, Secret Doctrine, may be thus stated, quote, to show that nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, and to assign to man his rightful place in the scheme of the universe, to rescue from degradation the archaic truths which are the basis of all religions, and to uncover, to some extent, the fundamental unity from which they all sprang, and finally, to show that the occult side of nature has never been approached by science and modern civilization. Last page, please. Stranicja 5. Spasiba. The understanding of the writings of H.P. Blavatsky can be comprehended intellectually, yes, but also they have to be grasped and understood by the deeper sense, and this is what is being encouraged when we are presented with the stanzas, which are profound truths presented to the student almost as riddles. Many of these truths are not grasped at first. They lay dormant and only come forth and fruit almost as if sometimes to jump off the page after years of study, consideration, and work. Another well-known maxim of the same magnitude is that in the Delphic oracle, "Man, know thyself," which comprises only 2 words and appears to be most simple. Know thyself began appearing in most cultures and traditions at different times throughout Asia, Africa, Eastern and Western Europe, Chinese dynasties, to the Hindu teachings, to the beautiful teachings of Islam and the Sufis, to ancient Rome. For any individual to attempt to transcend our phenomenal world of individual experience, that which is based on our own subjectivity and only relevant to the individual, it is necessary for us to consider things beyond our phenomenal world, especially when we study Theosophy. This all sounds well and good in theory, but what about this in practice? What does this mean to me as a person, as a student? When I'm studying the stanzas, I accept, for example, that much of what is being said is outside my direct sphere and practical knowledge. But sometimes it resonates and there's a deep feeling that it rings true. This feeling is not an intellectual feeling. It's as if there is a deep, resounding recollection of something which I already knew. This is a process, sometimes followed with deep joy and sometimes with deep sadness. I mean this in the way that I feel so moved by what is being put to me and hope that over the period of careful study, I can take these truths as my own, but only by the rite of passage of my own understanding. The feeling of ringing true is sometimes felt as a recalling a well-known fact, once known, but almost a distant memory. This is sometimes a gentle process which occurs over time, but other times it's as if a blinding flash, almost as if lightning had struck me. Immediately after such experiences, there is a sense of peace and quiet, that something has been understood truly by effort, consideration, contemplation, thought, which is a wonderful feeling, and I never feel quite the same afterwards. As if I've been shifted, my whole perspective has changed. This is where progress is made after ardent effort, constant consideration, studious observation, reflection, and service. Studying and working together in groups such as this is also of deep help to the student, as the synergy which we have makes our collective results greater than if it were the individual's effort alone. In closing, man's nature beholds the key to his understanding, no matter how far off the goal may be. The secret doctrine and the stanzas require time and reflection for this deep alchemical process of understanding, only by the rite of passage of understanding to take place. This truth is closer than thy own breath. It is more intimate than your heartbeat, and much deeper than we would ever understand by sensorial process alone, and devoid of the intellect. In closing, my dear friends, I should like to thank you all, and I would be delighted to speak with you all. I feel strongly that we can all make progress together, bringing together our unique perspectives in this heartfelt subject, illuminating the one and only path which we must all tread individually by our own will and assertion of our determination. Thank you all. Огромное
Господин
спасибо.
Линдон,
Я
огромное
ваш
спасибо.
должник. Благодарю. Thank you.
Спасибо, спасибо большое.
The feeling of ringing truth, like the word, the voice of silence, of voicelessness.
Yeah.
This akasha has its capacity to sound or to manifest the word of an unspoken thought. And when we hear the word of an unspoken thought, we are in our shelter of the high self, which is the heart. Thank you so much for the beauty of your speech and for understanding the significance of group work where the energy is much bigger and thus the thought form becomes clearer for each individual consciousness. Thank you very much. There are more thoughts Mr. Vladimir Yari would like to add about Sloka. Stanza 1, Sloka 2, time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Sloka 2 offers to a student to reflect or meditate on the development of imagination through such a situation. Time was not. And a hint for reflection on a certain state, it lay asleep. That is, time on the one hand was not, on the other hand, it abstractly was at rest. Where did this resting time find itself? That is a question. We are told in the infinite bosom of duration. We understand, using the law of analogy, as above so below, as human below is the phenomenal world, the universe, man, who by virtue of its manifestation of consciousness perceives information of conditions through the senses and their properties, hearing, sight, touch, taste, smell, sensations, and as a result, impressions. It all must awaken consciousness through the peace of human mind and perceive reality, thereby refining the senses from the physical dense to the astral, subtle, and merging into the one state. The earthly consciousness defines the time by dividing the linear property of time into past, present, and future. In this connection, time has a beginning and an end. In other words, it is finite, according to the fact that time generates illusion. And according to this veil, human consciousness, immersed in this illusion, does not know reality. This kind of reflection encourages the students to overcome the illusion produced by time and the cause of time. So we need to destroy the separation, and we need to merge with the source of the infinite bosom of duration, which is identical to space in its inviolability of eternity. infinity. For no matter how hard we try to imagine space, which is limited, it will remain for a thinker this infinity and its eternity, duration. Thus, by meditating on Sloka 2 of Stanza 1, we're able to assimilate undividedness, that is, the oneness of all in self and self in one. Consequently, the transmutation of the senses, when realized by the fire of understanding or the fire of spirit, gives us opportunity to conquer time. Abstract thinking, expressed by volumetric vision, infuses the energy of freedom with the fusion of the two worlds, dense and subtle, which allows synthetic recognition to accommodate and consequently create and control conditions created by psychic energy in conscious reality. Here I would like to add a really important thought. First of all, we should define for ourselves what is consciousness. And as soon as the consciousness emerges or reveals itself, we have time revealed. It happens at the same time, by 1 point, by 1 second, and that is how time emerges. And time, in its turn, starts producing an illusion. So, as a consequence, consciousness that has caused time and time that has caused illusion has brought consciousness into illusionary understanding of the world, because consciousness or a mind that has senses operates these 5 organs of senses, and they perceive illusionary character of this world born by time and create association of human worldview. That is why a human should conquer time. That is one of the most important factors, because time is seen as Mahakalpa, time as Kala, and it is revealed as the wheel of consciousness that, giving birth to time, leaves an illusion. When we conquer that, we will reveal the great significance of Mahamaya, the divine thought that is the point in this circle. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, today we had a great opportunity to touch upon different approaches to one situation. There was no time, described by our speakers so deeply in such an interesting and very subtle manner that there is really this feeling of close understanding between all of us. Today we had an alchemy of close understanding, of interaction and interpenetration. I thought that is how Theosophy itself moves when understanding of truth becomes total. I would like to add a few thoughts that, as I believed, were not heard today during the study of the second sloka. We have the following thought: time can be divided and duration cannot be divided. Helena Blavatsky gives us the following thought: something should exist within time and space, and something should go beyond time and space. It is an interesting point. What should it be? Let us a bit dwell into it, because duration is an absolute and the only eternity, which is not relative. It has no beginning and no end. The space exists even in places where there is nothing. There is nothing. And Helena Blavatsky, in her commentary, gives this idea. Can duration become an image of something? And in general, it is probably something. Has it such an image? The answer is yes. This duration can become something. And what is this image of duration? It is space. This image can be fixed by such a movement, a united movement. If there is an abstract point A that makes a circle, and here is a merge between point B, and their fusion is C point, then point A is an image of something, let us imagine, and point B is something, and their fusion, their merge, that has born C in this moment, it is duration itself. When we have made the circle, we can present this image of the space. But the present in this circle is the material line. Part, this material line divides into these parts. This part is the future, and this part of space is the past. So, the past and the future, and these two parts of space, that is durability. And this line is the time, the present. Nothing is unchanged on Earth. Helena Blavatsky describes the notion of the sum. The sums are all various and changing conditions from their appearance in material form to their disappearance from the earth. These sums or sum totals exist from eternity in the future, and they pass by degrees through matter to exist for eternity in the past. The two eternities, the past and the future, are duration, and only one of them, that everything has their true existence. This moment to pass from the past to the future is the present, or the true existence. In commentaries to Sloka 2, Helena Blavatsky gives the description of logoi. There is nothing revealed, we are still in Pralaya, but still, Madame Blavatsky says that Pralaya has mother and father. The first logos is the point that is everywhere and nowhere, and Mahat is the third logos. It's the synthesis of the seven creative rays, seven logoi among the seven creations. That is the way she puts it. Mahat is the three. It is a universal mind, soul, a divine source of ideas, uniting the ideal level and all the things prototypes in the objective and the subjective worlds. Mahat is the first product of Pradhana, the spiritual substance, but the first principle of the objective universe perceived by divine feelings, but not human feelings, is the third in line. It corresponds to Buddhi-Manas. These first logos, geometrically put by Helena Blavatsky as a circle with a dot, inside in the center. It has no size, no boundaries, no features, and no name. That is the first unmanifested logos that comes together with the line which crosses the circle's diameter perpendicularly in any point in the space. The line is the parent with the second logos emerging from it. This second logos contained three manifested words. The spoon of Akasha is the sound. The sound is also a word, manifestation of the spoken thought, a manifested logos. Mahad is a manifested thought, source of ideas on our level. This very manifested sound, or the logos, Fohat, is exactly what merges two lines in one and determines the area where the Supreme Intelligence can act. If it is the first logos, it gives a reflection. And there is the first line, perpendicular line here. It is the second logos that also gives its movement. And here we see the third logos. It is actually Mahat. And here we come back to the question, what should exist inside time and space? And what should go beyond time and space? Here, inside time or space, we see Mahat, the mind that is dormant before a certain cycle. So what goes beyond time and space then? This beyond time and space, there is the mind when the cycle comes and the time begins. So the Mahat, or the mind, determines the moment when the time starts. While the time is not yet there, there is only durability where it sleeps or remains at rest. That is the moment I would like to point out in my speech. And now I would like to members of the research group propose their commentaries on the material we have proposed today, the speakers have proposed today. And we ask you so much to be brief. Sergei Pavlovich Rashubkin.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I would like to make some remarks which are based on not correct understanding of what time is from point of view of modern science. There were many words like time is illusion, time is unreal. It's a question how we understand these terms, illusion and unreal. I'd like to draw your attention to Professor Hwang's report. He gave scientific definition of time through speed or movement. I'd like to tell you that this definition isn't accurate. This inaccuracy leads to misunderstanding. I want to remind that in modern science, time is defined through frequency. Transition between superfine levels of cesium's atom, so-called atom's time. This is the main comprehension of time now in physics, through frequency and cyclicity. And cyclicity is the main law in the universe, so how time can be unreal, not existing? If so, cyclicity doesn't exist as well. I think in words of Blavatsky, who told about illusory of time, as well as in Buddhism's illusory, is connected with finiteness of cycle, but not in sense that time or cycle doesn't exist. Let's come back to the second shlok. Time rested in infinite bosom of duration. The most important word is rested, which means that there were no cyclicity, there were no frequency. Resting is completely different state which isn't connected with cyclicity or frequency, and Blavatsky pointed at it. There was no time. In my report at 4th Theosophical Congress, a concept of time in modern science and Theosophy, I tried to show connection of energy, the forces of interaction with qualities of time. Different types of energy appear in the fourth universe principle, Fohat, potentially. Particularly in the fourth universe principle, when different types of energy appear, potentially time and cycles are contained. But time and cyclicity manifest only in the fifth universe principle, Akasha, in matter. Which becomes cyclic and manifests itself in different cycles. This is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Mikhail Nikolaevich Georgiades, you would like to propose your commentaries? Yes, do you hear me? I would like to note that today there is 28 years since Mr. Nikolai Rerich has passed away. And now I would like to propose his quote. He said many times that we've forgotten, that we are beyond eternity, that we have come from eternity, and we'll get back to them. They're inside each of us, and that will feel these great feelings. It was a kind of irony in his words, because he proposed not to dwell deeply into all these matters, because we can just lose ourselves there and not come back. And as for the theme of today's workshop, I'd like to make several notions that are quite brief out of what I have heard from speakers and from commentaries. I'd like to note that when the spirit and mind are beyond the physical body, there are no limits of physical body, and the mind is not that dependent on relations with other minds. There is no time then. Next, according to Helena Blavatsky, they are real and are not totally real cycles of time. Sometimes these cycles are counted by human mind and not by nature. And in modern ideas, there are topics based on Cesius atom, for instance. Coming into Manvantara or Pralaya can be changed depending on humanity consciousness. I would also like to note that, as today it was said, that physical sensations are limited. They cannot let us go beyond the matter. We can do that due to our relation to spiritual feelings. We should note that going into meditation, a human goes into different dimension of mind and can depend on astral light, and can think that those who live in these spheres are what he says, but these are just illusionary creatures, illusionary beings. Helena Blavatsky also mentions sleeping and several psychological states such as hypnosis, etc. But when we come to spiritual state, there is the duration sense. The person touches upon it. Spirit and matter are two sides of the unity, and the aspects we see in them depends on differentiation of matter and on human mind. That is why we should also keep in mind that there are different conditions of mind. Sleeping is the condition due to what we even Buddha called nirvana an illusion, and we can speak about the way human perceives the matter, the way that ants or animals perceive it. That is what is mentioned by Madame Elena Blavatsky. And different kinds of reality do have impact on mind. We have mentioned alchemy and physical elements that are in a condensed matter came in the fourth circle of the fifth race, and after that they are getting back to the unity. That is how they create the rows. And finally, I would like to mention that a human is constantly developing, getting more subtle, and revealing our capacities of the evolution. We have everything, even the space that has the essence in itself. We have the constantly pulsing fire of life, and monads that are being revealed, and one by one they are losing their veils. Spirit of monad in our capacity is revealed in human, who can become the planetary spirit and even higher. Thank you very much. The whole concept of your as its evolution can even be continued by evolution of chemical elements. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Lyndon Smith, could you also say, please, what are your impressions? You're for the first time with us, please.
Wonderful. I've really enjoyed it. I think you're all very passionate. I think it's a great group, and I hope you invite me back. I've really enjoyed it, meeting other people, but I'd like to just pick up on the point that the synergy that we have of students is so important. We've got to look at different perspectives, because sometimes these ideas can't be put in words. Sometimes it's a feeling of too abstract, and I like hearing different concepts, different ideas. Sometimes it takes a few days for this information to filter through, but there's processes going on in all of our brains that takes this information and works on it in a very interesting way. So thank you all. It's been really wonderful and a memorable time with you all this afternoon.
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо. Вот вы сейчас сказали об абстрактном.
Thank you. Now you have mentioned the abstract, and we should, I would say, as we are all human beings who differently perceive reality and truth, and everyone is trying to see one's own according to one's mind and one's conscious. The most important thing is not concrete thing. not particular thoughts in one form. Even that is not that important. Which is important is that we get the organ of perception as an abstract thinking, abstract and imaginary thinking. And that is the only point when we reveal individual evolutionary process of man. Otherwise, we would just repeat everything. But when we have such an abstract vision, imaginary vision, that is where we have the first step to understanding the truth. Thank you very much. Dear Madam Michelina Foster, please tell us several phrases and share your impressions. We'd really appreciate it.
It's been lovely. The different views of one point, it's sort of like watching an event, and the ant will see it differently than the bird will, the man, you know, half blind, or the person sighted, or the dog. Each one will see their own perception of the center, and that is why each of us is so marvelously created of our own essence, of our own grouping, shall we say, of matter, that we can only call it that now. The abstract is our next step up. The human brain is concrete, then it's spiritual, and then it starts going into intuition. And I would believe that those that are far above us have a lot better communication levels than intuition or even telepathy. It's going to be kindergarten by the time they start. But it's a wonderful thing, and everyone's views have been marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear Michelina. Sergey Vitalyevich Kolganov, could you please speak a bit about that as well? Good afternoon, dear friends. I was really impressed by today's deep reports, and getting to Sloka number 2, I would like to say that I was deeply impressed by one of the phrases. These sons, humans and matters, are in the future and pass through matter in order to live in the past forever. And I have discovered for myself that there are two eternities. The eternal past and the eternal sons. It is close to notion of Kybalion, where we see that humans should not bother because he has always been and will always be as one who acts. Thank you. Thank you very much. The idea of these sons who can live forever in the past and pass through the present, that is the moment of the machine of time that changes the time, the past for the future and the future for the past. This secret of time passing is the future of the science. They should take that. I have noted one thing now after the commentaries we have shared. In particular, I mean our scientists. Despite the fact that we call several terms in different words, this thought was identically the same. Sergei Pavlovich, Mikhail Nikolaevich, and other participants proposed the same thought. The property to see the thought and not the words is the knowledge of Theosophical doctrine. The knowledge should be that plastic, that alive, that we should put these two worlds together. This move from the past to the future with at least by us humans not living in the present. The present can be in our unconscious mostly. In nirvana condition, we could come together with the present and be there forever in this present. What does present mean? Present means the memory of the spirit. The past of the previous manvantaras, whoever we were, wherever our monad was, in any sphere, in any galaxy of the universe, this all is in the spirit, within the spirit, and the past is what we're trying to remember. But still, we have revealed today what is beyond time and space. It is the mind. It is the next sloka. As there was no time or mind to perceive it. Mr. Henri Naranjan, please speak a bit about your impressions.
That was a very fantastic presentation with very diverse and well-researched points. But I would like to have a few bullet points because I would like to be brief. Point number one. In the Secret Doctrine, in this particular shloka, what is that concept of time HPB is talking about? Whether it is physical time, or is it metaphysical time, or is it spiritual time? That has to be the underlying point that we need to recognize. And in my opinion, she's talking about the metaphysical time. Point number one. Point number two, even physicality of time, I will tell you, many years ago, I went to a yogi in India. He says, many years ago, when the wristwatch is very important. He says time exists only till your wristwatch exists. The moment you discard your wristwatch, time does not exist. Then again, coming back, just 2 days back, it was very interesting. I read a research article in Antarctica. They say in Antarctica, which is on Earth, they have about 14 or 15 research stations of each country. And within the research station, each research station keeps its national watch or national clock, okay? And once they come out, there's no timer. They don't know whether it's morning or afternoon or evening because the sun comes once in a year. Look at that. We don't have to go beyond. We've got an example in Antarctica itself. So you read that article if you can get time. There are about 14 or 15 clocks in each research station. And this exists only in the research station. The moment you come out of the research station, the time vanishes. Point number two. But most importantly, one point I think we all should note, she talks about time existing in lower consciousness. Do you note that? If I think Lyndon read that. Time exists only in lower consciousness. The moment the consciousness elevates, time does not exist. And I'll tell you a story about, very interesting and very important also. The Gayatri Mantra, which I can recite, just 4 lines. Om Bhurvo Bhurvasvaha Tatpithur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat is the most powerful mantra in the Vedas, which HPB also talks about it. And this is an adulation to the sun god, okay? You know, the sun is where the forehat, in fact, it's behind the sun where the forehat actually emerges. And how did we get the Gayatri Mantra, you know? There was a king called Viswamitra. Just give me a minute. There was a king called Viswamitra who was the most powerful person at that time. But once he went to a forest, he met a yogi. A yogi is a saint-like figure, a mendicant. And during his discussion, the yogi told him one word. He said, it is easy to conquer the world, but you cannot conquer your mind. And that man with his ego, he said, let me see how I can conquer my mind. So he went to the Himalayas and he transcended time. He transcended space by 1,000 years of meditation. 1,000 years of meditation. And Vishwamitra, the power of his consciousness was so high that the divine power of Brahma handed over this mantra to him. So in India, the most powerful mantra, if you ask in India, in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, is the Gayatri Mantra, which I recited. And that has happened out of transcendence of time and space. They're all connected. Time, because time is basically a human construct. It's a physical, earthly construct. It is not at all in the metaphysical realm also. So that is why it's very important that for us, that is why they say meditation, somebody was talking about, is one, I think it was Eugenia who told, meditation is one technique where we have to transcend. The word transcend is very important. The word meditation is very important. The word consciousness is very important to get the underlying fundamentals of time concept and time consciousness. Thank you very much and namaste.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arni. I would like to hear also impression from Dr. Hwang, please, and Mr. Kishore Ongole. Mr. Hwang, please share your impressions. You had an interesting presentation today.
Thank you very much for the many comments. My speaking, I'm very high expectation next steps. Next slokas and books. Actually, the secret doctrine is based on the book of Dzyan. Dzyan comes from the Tibetan Buddhism, actually. The basis is that the Tibetan Buddhism is spread by the Mongolian, the 500 years ago, Mongolian Tsar, emperor, king, spread this Buddhism to the whole world, his nations. So at that time, the Tibetan Buddhism spread to the Russia, to the Japan, to Korea, China also, everywhere spread it. So in Korea, there are so many evidences about the Tibetan Buddhism right now. In the future, I'm going to introduce you about the trace of the Tibetan Buddhism in Korea, in Japan, in China. I'm very glad to attend this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Today, for the first time, we had a presentation by Mr. Kishore Ongole of the Theosophical Society of India. Please tell us about your impressions. You had great discoveries.
Namaste to all. Thank you so much. This is my first talk. I was really shocked to see the invitation to me when somebody, Miss Evgenia Shaburnikova, has sent the invitation to me in my Facebook Messenger. And I feel that Madam Blavatsky is from Russia, and I felt that it is a blessing from her. And I personally tried to present myself whatever I thought, as this is my first time. Maybe some mistakes I might have done, but I think the main concept is of Theosophical Society and the books. Everything is inside us, as above, so below. The micro and the macro. If we can see each and every sloka of Dzyan, we can relate to our body and the mechanism of our body. Definitely, you can relate with the making, because the human body, which is the product of the greatest evolution of 1,95 lakhs years, very precious. This body is very precious. With this body, we are doing so many things. We are in fourth round, fourth chain. We may be entering into fifth round, fifth chain, fifth race, whatever. Right now, this is our body and this is God. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting. And Madam Anna Kelly, please speak a bit, please, as well, and we finish.
Thank you all so much for, again, a fantastic presentation. Thank you for all of the work that you do to put this together. And Kishore and Lyndon, first time up, out of the park, fantastic. It's so wonderful to have other views coming in. Kishore, what you were talking about just about how the slokas, how what we see in the secret doctrine, as we look and study and understand the universe, we are understanding ourselves, which is so very valuable. We start to see more clearly, not only an abstract as above, so below, but as above, so below. And I wanted to thank again as Kishore, of course, and Unhak. It was fantastic to hear from you, Erica, Lyndon, Mickey, and of course, Vladimir and Eugenia. Thank you so much. The translators also, who also put a ton of work in here. Thank you to the translators. Now, time and space, we're looking at time and space. Blavatsky has said before, when you meditate, say, I am all time and space. How do you embrace that unless we begin to understand it? And it's difficult for us to understand through, if we're not scientists, if we're not academics, but if we open up through the heart, and we put, Lyndon talked about this, about the study through the heart. If we're able to do that, and remember what Mickey said, that it comes down to love. So the more we spend time with these teachings, the more, no matter if you revisit and revisit and revisit, and then apply, and we become them, and more will be revealed as we take on the journey through the heart, because it truly is about love. That's the most important thing. It is love and compassion and empathy and unity. And though we may have scientific explanations, that is part of it. The most important part is through the self-application and the love. I love you. Thank you for having me here. Fantastic presentation once again. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Madam Gangulia, could you please tell us a bit, share your impressions?
I think, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Yeah, I think Anne summed it up really well. I don't think I need to say anything or add anything to it. I think I would just stress on that it is at the end of the day love as it was really found in today's talk. So thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had a great opportunity to be on the one wave in one space, because our mind has seven levels of time and 7 bodies, and we people who would like to make their minds better could unite and become conscious beings. It is a wonderful time today, I'm sorry, with alchemy. With understanding of truth, no matter what different languages, what different words we spoke, we have united these 3 worlds on 3 levels. That is what heart can do with its wisdom, with its buddhi. Thank you so much for today's heart you revealed, and while you were expressing your new thoughts about the Secret Doctrine. The next seminar is on the 27th of February at 15 Moscow time. Our research group will present the next slok. Probably you, dear audience, have the desire to share your speech at this new seminar. You could write your contacts in the chat. We really are grateful to you, to all participants, to translators who've been working with us. And traditionally, we will answer your questions in our philosophical quiz. Thank you for all your work you do for Theosophy and the whole world. We do not say goodbye. Please write your feedbacks. It is easy to be in contact. We see you on the 27th of February. Goodbye.
The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Quote for the 3rd millennium.